Come, let us meditate like a Jedi. This evening, let us explore the 16th passage of the meditation classic Great Garuda in Flight, composed oh so many centuries ago by the great Buddhist reformer Vajra. The eye which sees that there is no object to be seen sees the wonder. It transcends all definitions, as there is nothing specific to be heard. What is right and what is wrong are always mixed up and equal. A higher dimension named ultimate reality cannot even be described. If this is not your first time hanging out with yours truly, then you've probably noticed that many of these passages superficially seem to contradict each other. That is because these passages were not designed to be read serially one after the other, but to be read as a one-off, like a fortune cookie. Just as you would read a fortune cookie at the end of a meal, you would read this passage and then sit in meditation. And so this passage, like many others, is a host of reminders gathered in a way that is rather playful. Let us see if I can do it justice. The eye which sees that there is no object to be seen sees the wonder. Wonder is a very important word. It does not appeal to the rigidity of blind faith, nor is it a reference to the elitism of pseudo-intellectual mental gymnastics. There's something very childlike about wonder, as if it was the fruit of being vulnerable, passive, visceral, random, and fleeting, of living in the moment from a place of abandon. I'm out of it right now. I did not get my disco nap today, so please forgive me if I appear to be a quart low. This is a reference to the three circles of emptiness, which would be the visual object, the eye which perceives the visual object, and the very act of seeing. But what is meant by ultimate reality? That can best be explained by relying upon a set of visual aids, to which I will turn right now. Both this teaching text, as well as these visual aids, are available as PDFs for free download. Everything I do is free. We have evolved in such a way that every time we inhale, we automatically access the middle part of our spinal cord known as the sympathetic nervous system, which helps us to notice in a very special way, to notice vulnerably, passively, viscerally, randomly, and fleetingly mind's antidotes of seeing, hearing, feeling, tasting, smelling, and the like, including the full spectrum of human emotions, intentions, thoughts, memories, and imaginings. What are we to do with that which we notice? We have also evolved in such a way so that every time we exhale, we automatically access the end bits of our spinal cord, like the bookends on a shelf, not quite full. These two regions, this set of regions, is known as the parasympathetic nervous system, and it supports our physical relaxation and mental release. That which we noticed during our previous inhalation, could fleetingly feel less stressful, less permanent, and even less defining. But what has this to do with ultimate reality or emptiness? Complex life forms on this planet have evolved to think symbolically. Perhaps that is why it could come as little surprise that in every human civilization we find the ubiquitous use of figures of speech. Are there figures of speech that are germane to meditation? Every time we relax into our exhalation, that which we noticed during our previous inhalation could fleetingly feel as non-graspable as a vast, empty void. The cunning use of the preposition as lets you know this is a simile. Your better English teachers will remind you that a simile is only as useful as it is relatable. Therefore, we must ask the question, what? What is a real-world example of a non-graspable, vast, empty void? How about the illusion of the infinite azure sky on a bright and beautiful cloudless morn, which, although could look tantalizing to the eye, feels non-graspable to the hand? So emptiness, or voidness, or vastness is just a metaphor for the fleeting experience latent within every exhalation, an experience wherein letting go and transcending feel more effortless. Bearing this in mind, let's return to this evening's teaching text. As we relax into our exhalation, whatever visual object we noticed during our previous inhalation could feel less tangible. As we relax into our exhalation, whatever eye we noticed during our previous inhalation could feel less graspable. As we relax into our exhalation, whatever act of seeing we partook of during our previous inhalation could feel less defining. These three circles of emptiness are applied to anything we perceive. Most simply to our six senses, to our ability to see, hear, feel, taste, smell, and use our minds. Use our minds to emote, intend, reason, recall, and imagine. So this thing, this this fleeting non-graspability which pervades all dimensions of experience is not something, it's not a butterfly that can be asphyxiated in a killing jar and then pinned grotesquely to a corkboard in an enthusiast's hallway. As someone who teaches meditation full-time, I can't tell you how many enthusiastic young men I've encountered who've taken a far too literal approach to the corpus of Mahayana literature and try to impress people with pseudo-spiritual double talk. The authors of this text reminds us that no translator obsessed with detail and precision, or no commenter or scholar obsessed with cross-referencing and finding, there's a word that begins with the letter C, agreement. Compares to the efficacy of simply passively cooperating with our own autonomic nervous system. To notice as we breathe in, and relax and relax as we breathe out. The essence of mindfulness and meditation, which function as the keys that unlock the vault of enlightenment itself. In a ridiculously short period of time. Let's continue. What is right and what is wrong are always mixed up and equal. How could that work out? Well, if you listen to a politician, an attorney, or a salesperson, much of the time they can convince us of just about anything. Perhaps that's one of the reasons why in science we rely more upon measurements. And then, based upon measurements, based upon observations, generating theories. And then instead of investing the majority of our time arguing theories, we put the theories to the test. And then once we've garnered our data, we share every detail of them. The experimentation and the observations and the conclusions with others, inviting them to replicate their findings and poke holes in ours. We do this because intellectual integrity demands that we not fool ourselves. Or if you prefer the rock band of The Who from the 70s, that we might not get fooled again. Or that we won't get fooled again. This word equal. What about that? For surely hot and cold are different, and kind and cruel are different. Let's look at kind and cruel. As we relax into our exhalation, whatever kindness or cruelty we noticed during our previous inhalation could feel as if they were melting into the simplicity of just intention. That helps us to work through guilt. That helps us to work through resentment. That helps us to work through fear. But how are we to know what's right and wrong? Simple. Behold the Buddha's Eightfold Path, 50% of which pertains to kindness. The late Tulku Thondup insisted that the highest love is the spontaneous and uncontrived byproduct of authentic mindfulness and meditation. Even if we practiced as little as 5 minutes once every 12 hours or so, we would find that we involuntarily and spontaneously begin experiencing kinder intentions, kinder communication, kinder conduct, and even kinder commerce. Notice and relax, and we cannot help but be kind. Notice in the Eightfold Path there are no rules, and there is no mention of punishments or rewards. Just kindness. And that which generates it, the practice of mindfulness and meditation. Be a good little meditator, be an effective little meditator, and we can't help but go through life kindly. But, you might ask, how is one to know what the kind thing is to do? What is the kindest way in which to do it? And what is the proper timing? I'm reminded of a passage in the Hebrew Old Testament. To bless your neighbor, if you bless your neighbor with a loud voice, first thing in the morning, it will be taken as a curse. Timing is everything. Or to paraphrase Steve Martin, it's all about timing. Oh, timing. So, how are we to know? Simple. The more we practice mindfulness and meditation, the more our choices and utterances and deeds flow, not from cold, calculating contrivance, not from destructive scatteredness, but from centered spontaneity. This is the flow state, and it too is an effortless byproduct of mindfulness and meditation. A higher dimension named ultimate reality cannot even be described. One does not believe their way to nirvana. One does not think their way to nirvana. One does not concentrate their way to nirvana. But one can cooperate their way to nirvana. One can vulnerably, passively, viscerally, randomly, and fleetingly notice and relax one's way to nirvana. Like a Hope and Crosby road movie filmed in the 40s. Having completed this evening's opening lesson, we could now shift gears. It is Qui-Gon Jinn Tuesday evening. Come, let us meditate like a Jedi after about 30 seconds of housekeeping. This is the Dzogchen Sende Lama, Jigme Gyatso of the Buddha Joy Meditation School. For more than 30 years, I have harnessed my autistic special interests as well as my ADHD hyperfocus to spend about 8 hours a day, almost every day, studying, practicing, mastering, and reverse engineering the teachings and techniques of each school of meditation so that I can become your personal, nerdy, neurodivergent guide to nirvana. Welcome, my friends, to meditate like a Jedi, which is made possible due to the generosity of viewers just like you. For the remainder of this evening's live stream, let's meditate. And of course, do bear in mind that the easiest way to practice mindfulness is to silently and mentally recite the verb watch each time we feel our chest swell as we inhale. And the easiest way to practice meditation is to silently and mentally recite the one-syllable verb rest each time we feel our lungs, so each time we feel our chest sink as we exhale. Let me check the time. If you, like me, are prone to arthritis, you may wish to adjust your legs every 15 minutes or so. Now, since I missed today's disco nap, there is a distinct possibility this might be a shorter meditation session. The moment you have a specific question about Buddhist philosophy or meditation, do not hesitate to type your question in great detail in the chat window. For I tend to check for questions about every 5 minutes or so. You have taken your first step into a much larger world. If you feel that I have earned it, you could give this live stream a thumbs up. You could even help support this channel. In about 11.5 hours, I would very much like to return to lead tomorrow's morning meditation class and group practice. And if you are as geeky as me, may the Force be with you always.